Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here, and in this video you're going to meet classic physique bodybuilder Justin Waning, otherwise known as the Prometheus Project on Instagram. He came second in the 2017 German Natural Bodybuilding Federation competition and also entered Nick's Strength and Power's Mr. Golden Era, coming in third place. Known for his very aesthetic physique and pleasing lines, Justin is truly a rising star in the natural bodybuilding world. In this video interview, we talk natural bodybuilding and his training and achievements over the past 12 years since he started training. Here is Justin.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, I want to ask you, so how old are you, Justin? Like, because a lot of people, you know, I like asking these questions because there's a lot of young guys out there who want to start bodybuilding and they look to people like you and they want to know more about how you started bodybuilding and, you know, how long it took you. And I think people like yourself, like Joel, are excellent role models because you are, oops, sorry, I need to put this off. You're natural bodybuilders and you've been through the process, and I think it's very important for your message to come across. So first of all, Justin, how old are you?
I'm 28 right now.
28.
I'm turning 29 in December. Yeah, I'm 28.
December?
Yes.
Are you
in December? Yes. Yeah, I am.
What day?
The 5th of December.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm the 19th, man.
Oh, nice. Nice.
All right. One more thing in common.
Yeah, true. That's true. That's true, man.
Good. So you said you've been training. Oh, sorry, you're 28. How long have you been training then?
I've been training for around, I think, I can't like remember exactly, but I think I've been training for like 10, 11, maybe 12 years, somewhere around that. Because like the first years that I started training was more like, you know, throwing the weights around, like everybody did back in the day. Because like when I started, there was no YouTube, you know.
Yeah.
There was no YouTube. There was no. I mean, like the information that are out there today is just incredible, you know. Like compared to back in the day when I started, there just were no information out there. You just went to a fucking gym, and you just talked to the people that were already training there, and you just asked them for advice, you know.
Yeah.
So all the mistakes that they made, you were going to make too, you know.
Yeah.
So I remember when I went to the gym, you know, because like I'm coming from a pretty small town actually, so no big town. We had some bodybuilding, some guys there that were bodybuilding, and we also had like an old school bodybuilding gym. But like I remember it that like nobody was training legs actually, you know, nobody was squatting, you know. People were like using the leg press from time to time, maybe doing some leg extensions, leg curls. That was it, you know. So yeah, I just started trained for like 3 years. I remember like doing bicep curls every day, you know, like basically doing the same kind of workout every day, you know. And I think that kind of helped me back a lot. Because like knowing what I know now, that was absolutely counterproductive. But I mean, like in the beginning, whatever you do is gonna work, you know.
Yeah, it does.
As long as you kind of eat, you know, as you kind of get your protein in, you will be fine, you know. But I remember that I was just doing too much, you know, because I wanted it really bad. I wanted to make progress. I wanted to gain muscle, but it was just not the right way of doing it.
Yeah.
And then like I think it was like 2011 when I started my apprenticeship. I just sat down and thought like, okay, you got to change something, you know, because like at that point I was like going out partying like every weekend, like twice, like 2 days, you know, like Friday, Saturday, partying hardcore, you know. I was young. I wanted to live, you know, but I still wanted to make some gains.
Yeah.
And at some point I just sat down. I was like, okay, man, like if you really want to progress and get away from the stagnation, because that was what was obviously happening. Like you're like, I was training my butt off during the week, like really hardcore, trying to eat good, you know, and then on the weekends I would destroy it all with just being super drunk, like 2 days And at some point I was just like, this is not how it's working out, you know? So you're just hitting a wall at some point.
Yeah.
And so I just sat down and I was like, okay, first of all, I got to figure out how to eat right, you know, because I had no idea at all. You know, I drank some protein shakes because my mom was doing Herbalife, I guess, and she had these soy protein shakes, and I would just drink them after workout. Didn't care at all, you know. I was just like getting some protein, and I just ate whatever my mom was cooking, you know. And I was always able to eat a lot, but I was always like really super skinny guy. I think I weighed like 65 kilos or something at like 185, like I'm right now. So I was super skinny, like always super skinny. And I just wanted to gain some weight. I remember that like I was playing soccer for like 16 hours a day, no joke. Like seriously, I had um some some fractures in my foot, you know, because I was just doing too much. And I had to take some steps back. So I was always this very sporty kind of guy. I always like to move a lot, do a lot of sports, be physically active. And then in 2011, I just sat down. I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. I got to figure out how to eat right, you know? So I sat down, and that was like actually the first time that I watched some YouTube videos. And I watched some YouTube videos of some biochemist, I guess, and he was talking about calories, you know, how this thing with calories works and what macronutrients actually are, because I had no idea. So I sat down with this small book that I actually still have today, and I wrote it all down, you know. So I wrote down, okay, what are calories, what are macronutrients, like how many calories does like 1 gram of carbs have, etc. And then I was just sitting there. I had all these information. I was like, okay, what am I gonna do with this? You know, so how am I gonna use this and turn it into a nutrition plan? And then I looked up the stuff that has a lot of protein, you know, and then I started eating a lot of tuna with some bread every day. And I think I was eating a lot of poultry, a lot of chicken and stuff. But looking back at it now, I still had no idea what I was doing, you know. So I just did that for like 2 years, and it kind of worked out, you know. So I stayed away from the alcohol. I just worked out every day. Tried to eat well, you know. I had no idea how many calories I would have to eat. I would just ate a lot, you know. I'd just try to eat as much as possible because I was still working like in an 8-hour job every day, and it was like physically demanding, so I had to eat a lot, you know. And then after I finished my apprenticeship in 2013, I decided to go back to school, you know, go back to grammar school, get my degree, and because I wanted to study in university, you know. So I was like, okay, this job is not what I want to do until I, you know, retire at some point. I want to go and do what I love, you know. I want to go and work out and train people and do that kind of stuff. So I thought this was the opportunity to really sit down and change it all, you know. So I went back to school. I had a lot more time, and I was like, okay, like I get way more rest now because I don't have to work that much anymore. You know, I still went to construction sites to earn some money, but you know, my main part was going to school again. So a lot more. Sorry.
What did you study?
I'm studying right now. It's sports science.
Oh, cool.
Sports science. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was when I was would sit down because I had some special courses in biology and sports, you know, that were really focusing on the stuff in school. So I learned a lot more about everything. And after I graduated, I went to university, and that was when I got in touch with bodybuilders, so to speak, like natural bodybuilders that would compete here in Germany on a national level. And I was training a lot at that point already. I was looking decent, I would say. And he, like one of the vice champions, like he was training at the same gym as I was, and he was coming up to me. He was like, "Bro, we got to put you on stage, man. You look great. You got to go and you got to step on stage this year." And he was like, "I'm prepping too, so maybe we should do a prep together, and you should step on stage." And I was like, "Okay." I was thinking about this a lot, so I'm gonna do this now. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to have one more off season, and really nail everything, put everything on the table to gain some more lean mass. And I did exactly that. And it turned out that that was the right way to do it, because I gained, like, in 6 months of like really putting it all down, I would gain like 7 centimeters circumference on my legs. So it was a lot of muscle that I actually gained in that time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like I put my head down. I didn't do anything else. I completely focused on it. And that was actually the time when I started my posing. You know, when I started to figure out how to pose properly. And also that, like, when I look back at my first tries, bro, horrible, like really bad. But yeah, I figured it out and turned out to become vice champion in Germany, which was like a really nice thing, you know. I
Yeah.
really liked that, you know, because I had my own style. I had my own style of posing. I would stand on stage and I would stand out, like literally. I would position myself on the outer parts of the stage. I wouldn't stand in the middle. I would go outside, you know, and do my posing, because I just didn't care at all what the other guys were doing. I was like, I'm gonna do this now, and I'm gonna pull all the eyes on me, you know. I don't give a shit, you know. I'm just gonna stand out and like do my own thing, and that's what I did, and it obviously worked, you know.
I've seen a
So
video. I've seen a video that
yeah,
you posted. It was awesome.
yeah.
So got a question now. Why is your Instagram called the Prometheus Project?
That's a good question. Um, I was thinking about, okay, I need to brand myself at some point, you know. And I was thinking like, okay, I wanna make myself into kind of a brand, you know. And I'm always someone who's like, I'm very creative. And I always want things to be special. Like when I do something, I want it to be, I don't like mediocrity, you know. I want it to be really good, you know. So I was thinking about a name for, like, I don't know, maybe a year. And I always like Greek mythology, you know. And I was watching this movie Prometheus. You maybe know it, you know, from the Alien series. And
Yeah.
I really like that idea. Like in the beginning, when these I think they're called architects, right? Like the people in the beginning, like the tall white ones. I really like that idea of them going, like, coming to Earth and pouring the DNA into the water and creating man, you know,
Yeah.
like creating men. And I was like, that's actually a really cool idea, because I think that's what bodybuilding is like, you know, because I'm creating myself. I'm sculpting myself, you know, with everything, with all the tools that I got with nutrition and training. I'm kind of forming my body into what I want it to look like,
Mhm.
you know. And that when I was thinking like, this is like, you know, I like that, you know. So I was thinking about a name, you know. And that really matched pretty well, I guess, you know, with Prometheus. And then I looked into the Greek mythology and the role that Prometheus had in that mythology as a Titan, where he would like form man out of clay
Yeah.
and give him the fire. And I would like interpret that as the fire of life and the spirit, you know, to give it that spirit, you know. And Zeus would punish him for that, for doing his own thing, you know, for standing out and creating. And yeah, I'm also someone who's speaking out, you know. I'm not keeping my mouth shut when I don't like things and how things work and go. I speak out, you know. And I would kind of get crucified for that, in a sense, you know. People were like, you know, are like crucifying me for speaking out. But I was always this kind of rebel, you know. I would always do my own thing. I always hated mediocrity. I hated stagnation. I always wanted to stand out and be special, in a sense. So I figured that name would fit perfectly well for
Right.
what I was trying to do, because like I always had this idea. I wanted to become a trainer and a coach. And I started my business back in 2018. I started coaching the first people and tried to apply my methods, because I figured out a way, like, of how to apply the things that I did for myself, that I learned from experience, because I did a lot of trial and error, a lot of trial and error. And then I figured out a way of how to implement those things that I learned um, into coaching, you know, and how to help people develop the physiques. And I would actually sculpt them. And that's where it all came from, you know. And that's why I always use this phrase, keep sculpting, because with my methods, with my training, um, with my periodization technique and the progression scheme that I use, I'm sculpting these people, you know. And yeah, then I'm also trying to give them this fire, you know, this fire for the posing. I'm trying to give them something, you know, on their mindset and stuff, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's actually where the name was coming from.
Yeah, man, the way you explained it, it really suits you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Everything that I've seen, it suits you perfectly. So a lot of people don't believe that you're a natural bodybuilder, and you just having said that you've been training for at least a decade, how do you answer these people?
What?
How do you answer them?
I answer them that I actually pity those people, you know, those people that really believe that you can't achieve a certain thing when you put your mind into it, you know. I really pity them. And I was always, you know, when I was training back in the day, even like before 2013, when I was training, I was like, I want to look like a steroid using bodybuilder without using steroids. That was what I always had in mind in every training session. I was like, I want to look like a guy who's using stuff without using it. That's what I was like imagining all the time, you know. And so I said to myself, like, sky's the limit. Who's going to determine what I can look like? Nobody. You know, I'm just going to put all my effort and work in there and stop limiting myself mentally, because what I feel is that people limit themselves mentally way too much. And they always depend on what other people say. And other people say like, oh, you can't look like this natural. Oh, you can't achieve that. You can achieve this. And I'm like, who's to say that you can achieve something? And I'm the one to say that I believe that nobody ever touched their natural limit. Nobody. Because there's so many things that you can do wrong. Nobody does everything perfect.
Exactly.
You know? And so nobody knows where we can go. And when you actually look at the younger generation, when I'm basically at every competition, like natural bodybuilding competition here in Germany, like the GmbF, like I'm on every German national competition. And when I look at the teenage guys or the newcomer class, like the juniors, like up to 23, when I look at the physiques that they have developed, I'm like, bro, I didn't look like this when I was that young, you know, because like the information that are available now, we didn't have them back in the day, and it's only getting better, you know, it's only getting clearer, you know, like the availability of the information that are very valuable, it only gets better, you know. So people will start looking, like I predict that in the next 5 to 10 years, people will look way different, you know, like we have these FFMI what do you call them, limits at the national level. You know, you can't surpass that limit. I think it's at 26 right now. If you get over 26, you can't compete anymore. And I think what we're going to see in the next 5 to 10 years is that people will be at 26 easily, because like the information that is available, the information that is out there, like people are starting to work out at 16, 17, even younger, maybe 13, and do everything right from the beginning. These people are going to look way different, man. You know? And if you actually believe that you can't achieve a certain kind of look after 10 to 15 years of training, of doing everything right, you know, of leaving no stone unturned, then I gotta pity you, man, because you're limiting yourself mentally.
I agree.
You know? So
I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
Most people are not willing to put in the years.
Yes.
Because it's true. Like I when I first started a long time ago, I was like every other kid in my teens and 20s, and I thought, you know, you'd get a physique in 6 months to a year. You know, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But I only started reading books from Arnold and Bill Pearl, all the golden era guys, and even they who use steroids would say that don't expect to get a good physique until 10 years of hard training. That's when I understood the process. You know, I understood that the process was really slow, and it takes a long time for your body to build itself and to adapt to all the stresses you put it through. And the other thing that I learned, which you also just highlighted, was that one's willpower is stronger than anything in the world, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, I may not have developed a physique that I would be satisfied with, but what I did do was break every warning, every negative thing that was said to me when I had all those injuries. When the doctors told me you'll never jog again. I used to play soccer back then, and they said you'll never be able to play football again.
Yeah.
And they would say,
I feel that. I feel that. I had the same thing. No, because I have like my hips are not like, okay, I have hip this, what is it called? Dysplasia? Is it called like that in English? I don't know. Like when the socket is not like when it can move.
Displacement. To displacement.
Yeah, exactly. And also my kneecaps aren't formed properly. And you know, I was playing a lot of soccer back in the day, and then the doctor would tell me like, you can't do that forever. You know, you're gonna have like hip problems. And my mom has some serious problems with her hips. And I was like, well, is that gonna hold me back? No, it's not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna continue doing this. I'm not gonna let that get into my head and tell me that I can't do stuff. You know,
Exactly.
just like you did too. You know, so I actually transitioned to bodybuilding, and I'm still like squatting. I don't have any problems. I sometimes kind of feel my hip in a sense, but I think that's normal. You know, you sometimes feel your joints even when you're healthy. That's normal. You know, so yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you like, that transition that I had into bodybuilding, the retransition through injury. I learned I think the most important thing about, or the most important lesson you can get about bodybuilding, that if you don't listen to all the naysayers, just like Arnold says, and you really just believe in yourself and you take one step each day, in what may appear impossible will happen. You know, I've had so many doctors over the years tell me you'll never do this, you'll never walk again, you'll never do this, you know. And 5-6 years after my initial surgery and tear and everything, and I couldn't walk, I was squatting 300. I couldn't believe it, you know. It was like a dream come true, you know. Then after that, I was preparing for powerlifting competition, and I wanted to send those videos to these doctors that told me no, 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 you know. Then I had the tear that I told you about, right? 3 years of surgery since 2016. And, you know, 4 years of physio. Again, the same doctor that did the surgery over 3 years, he did several surgeries, said, don't ever bodybuild again. Don't ever go to a gym. Yet, you know, 2 years later, I'm already, you know, back in the gym. And as I said, I haven't built the physique that I wanted to because of all these injuries and setbacks. But I was always able to at least prove those doctors wrong. You know?
Yeah, and that's worth a lot, man. I'm telling you.
I mean,
and I actually also have a really nice influence regarding that, because I have a good friend who had an open heart surgery. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, and he's got a mechanic heart valve now, and the doctors would like, he had to relearn walking. Like, it was real bad. I had to sew up his sternum again, and it's all like, you know, it's not fitting properly anymore. It's also like a little bit shifted and stuff, and he still has a lot of problems. But he would step back on stage. I think it was only 7 months after that, he would step back on stage. Like, really sick, really crazy, unbelievable, man. And I'm around that guy a lot, man. We're doing posing seminars together. We're coaching more or less together, you know, because I'm always helping him with his clients on the competitions. And that's a lot of motivation, man. That's a lot of motivation. And you can do, I'm telling you, man, you can do a lot when you put your mind to it. When you just want to do it, you can do a lot, man. And I think that's like a key takeaway from this.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what bodybuilding teaches you. If you're in it for the long run, you develop a willpower and a fire that makes you unstoppable in many ways.
Absolutely.
Once you use that you've learned, that willpower, and apply it to anything else, you know you can do it.
Yes.
You know.
And I think bodybuilding is amazing doing that. You know, I think there's probably no other sport where you can get that on that level, you know, because the discipline, and you're always with yourself, you know, like you're talking to other people, but you got to put in the work. Yeah. Nobody can buy a physique or something. You can't buy that body. You know, you can have plastic surgery, have implants or whatever, but you're never gonna look the way that a bodybuilder looks when he's putting in the effort and the hard work, you know.
Right.
And that's something that's like you can't buy with money. You got to put in the work, and you got to have the discipline. You got to work your butt off to attain that. Yeah. And another very important thing is that you have to understand that you are attracting what you put out there. You know, the energy that you put out there, you are attracting that, and it's coming back. You know, it's gonna come back eventually.
Absolutely.
So it's very important to understand that and to use that for your advantage.
Absolutely, I think you're right there. All right, man. A lot of your fans would probably want to know, you know, right? You know, for the young guy out there. Again, this is something I really like bringing forward. It's very clear that for bodybuilders, natural bodybuilders like yourself, Joel, Brock, I could just go on, right? All these guys, it takes them at least a good decade to develop a good physique. What kind of training methods would you say have you used over the decade to develop your mass and then to carve and sculpt your physique as it is today?
Back when I started, I used to work with a bro split. So I would use a five-day split, train everything once a week, because that was what we used to do in the gym. You know, it was normal. You know, nobody told you to do like push-pull legs or whatever. So we did a lot of 5-day splits, train every muscle once per week, but we would really kill it. You know, like you would go in, train chest, you would really train chest, you know. You wouldn't go out, you know, having like 1 rep left in the tank. You know, we would go in, train back, we would train back, you know, like, and I actually only switched to 3-day splits from that. So what I actually really like to do is push-pull legs. I really like that split. So especially naturally, that makes a lot of sense because your protein biosynthesis is way shorter than when you are on gear. So you should make use of that and try to hit the super compensation phase, you know. So I would like to go in and train every muscle twice per week. And I think that really made a big difference when I started doing that. And what I also like to do, I would like to use a lot of high volume training. So I really did a ton of volume, like every training session, because I was used to doing these 5-day splits, and I would just, you know, do the same kind of volume, but twice per week, which turned out to, like, after the years, I mean, it worked, obviously. I made some really good gains doing that. And I especially like developed a really good mind-muscle connection doing that. And I think that's another key factor, you know, to develop a real good mind-muscle connection, to be able to hit the muscle that you're trying to train, not just throw around the weights. I wouldn't actually, like, when I started, I actually trained very heavy. Then I went from training very heavy to using moderate weights, a little bit more like high rep stuff, but still go to failure. You know, like I train to failure in every session, every set, always go to failure. But looking back now, I have to say that I think that also wasn't the best way to do it. It worked. But I think it is better to use some kind of periodization and nail it, you know, to get the best out of the least effort, you know. Get the most out of the least amount of work. So try to figure out the volume that you have to do per muscle group, like the amount of sets that you actually need, because it's also about, you know, you can do a lot of junk volume. You can go in there and do a lot of junk volume, do like three warm-up sets before every exercise, which actually don't do nothing but fatigue you and take away energy from your working sets. So what I would like to do now is try to erase all the junk volume, you know, warm up with one set and then just go straight in. But I think you need some time to develop the proper technique and the proper anticipation of what you can do to do that properly.
Yeah.
So for the beginners, I would advise to use some higher volume training and really get a good mind muscle connection, really try to burn out the muscle and really work it with intensity, but still don't do too much. You know, when you feel like you're declining in strength and power, and that the form is lacking, then you did enough, you know, for that muscle group. And yeah, twice per week, every muscle group, some high volume stuff. Definitely try to go to failure, because what most people think is failure actually is not failure. You can go way further than that for most people. So going at least near failure is a good thing. Yeah.
What's your training now?
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of guys start off with baby weights. You know, they it takes them a while to develop strength, to develop mass. They don't understand the different phases of training, you know, because I believe that there's different programs that are useful for beginners, like you said earlier. There's also programs like your 3-way split is ideal for that kind of intermediate phase. And, you know, again, it's a mass building, but more also shaping phase. And now that you are obviously 10 years plus into training, your level of strength, your mind muscle connection, your ability to zone in on your muscle and really just, I mean, you know, a beginner would take, because of their lack of technique, because of their lack of mind muscle, takes them a long time to warm up that muscle and really get into it. Whereas at your level, you're advanced. What kind of program are you now doing?
I think what I'm doing now kind of goes more into the HIT way of training. You know, I reduce my working sets like let's say 4 to 5, maybe 6 exercises for like the big muscle groups, but I reduce the amount of working sets to 2 basically. Maybe sometimes I do 3, but I usually do 2. You know, and I really try to go close or to failure with that set and really use a lot of weight but still hit the muscle, you know. And I really like Joe Bennett's approach in this, you know, hypertrophy coach, who's saying like improve 1 rep first, you know, because like you can do like 3 sets, for example, and only have like maybe 3 to 4 repetitions of every set that are actually effective, you know. Let's say that for efficiency, you have to go at least to 5 reps in reserve, you know, so 5 reps beyond failure. Like the last 5 reps you do in a set until failure are the ones that are efficient, you know. And now let's say that when you are a beginner, you only do 2 sets, and from those 2 sets you train to failure, so to speak, but you only have like maybe 2 efficient repetitions in there, because like of the 5 reps that you do in the end, only the first 2 are efficiently hitting the muscle, and for the other 3 you're using like synergist muscle, you know, to kind of move the weight, and you're not hitting that muscle properly anymore. So when you do that as a beginner, like the volume, the effective volume that you're putting on your muscle is actually not that effective. So that's why I would advise a beginner to use more volume, because then you get more efficient repetitions out of those sets. But when you are an advanced athlete and you are someone, as I would count myself to that kind of category, where you can actually go in and really kill the target muscle and really go to failure on that target muscle. And that muscle is the first muscle to give up to doing that exercise. And you get those 5 repetitions out of that 1 set, you know, that you actually won. Then you can really use a lot of weight, and take it to failure and get way more out of those 2 sets than maybe an intermediate or beginner could get, you know. So I was trying to, or I am trying to reduce the workload that I'm putting on my body, to reduce the overall fatigue, because like the more sets I do, the more fatigue I accumulate, and I'm trying to figure out like the perfect amount of fatigue that I have to put on my body to make the best progress. Yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense. Like when you look at I've read Dorian Yates's biography. He also started
yeah,
with high volume and eventually progressed to Mike Mentz's method of HIT. Mike Mentzer also did high volume at the very beginning. And I think at the more advanced level, when you're, you know, benching, I don't know, 400 for reps, squatting 500 for reps, yeah, it's going to take it out of you. And
absolutely, man. And I can tell you, like from that start of training, I really got strong. Like
yeah,
right now, I'm in prep. You know, I'm like 12 weeks out right now, and I'm the strongest I've ever been. I'm telling you, like it's crazy. It's really crazy because like the amount of work that I'm putting in, it's just perfect, you know. And I feel like I can still, or up to a certain point, I could still develop some muscle. Actually, like 2 days ago, I hit another PR on a rowing machine. And that was like crazy, man. I'm still kind of understanding and trying to wrap my head around how this is working, but it is working. And I actually never read Dorian's or Mike Mansur's books, and I was actually always kind of opposing their way of doing it until I started to, you know, progress myself up to a certain point where I had to rethink what I was doing, you know, because at some point I was not able to do more volume. You know, I did so much volume and with so much intensity that I just felt wrecked after every workout. You know, I couldn't recover from it. And I was like, okay, that's not how it's working out, because I'm hitting a wall right here and I can't break through it. So I got to rethink what I'm doing. So then I started to look into programming and using mesocycles and kind of using progression techniques. And I would always figure that out myself. I just would get a glimpse and an idea of how other people are doing it and how it is working. And now then I would just sit down and figure it out for myself. You know, and I was just think about, okay, what does actually make sense? I'm actually not the kind of guy to look up programming and just use it for me. You know, I would just like get the idea and then sit down and think about it myself and figure it out for myself. You know, that's how I just work, you know, in my mind. And it kind of progressed up until this point where I'm just doing like very, very low volume for what I was used to do, very low volume, and I'm making real good progress with it, you know? Yeah.
It makes sense, as you said, for an advanced trainer. Like even people like that are well known for using high volume, like Arnold, even in their off season, it's well known that they used the pyramiding scheme. So they would start off light. Let's say they're doing benching, 15 reps, and increase the weight, drop the reps, increase the weight, drop the reps until they're reaching, you know, doing sets of, you know, two reps or 4 reps or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're the reps that count, as you said before, you know.
Exactly.
Ways,
because those are the ones that you take to failure.
Yeah, it's in many ways, it's a very high intensity training method, probably with a little bit more sets than Mike Mentz or Dorian would do. And they only use the high volume the last, you know, 3 to 4 weeks before competition, whilst
Exactly.
which is why they were able to recover. And it was more of a cardiovascular-like training where they would only rest for 10 seconds between sets, and it was mainly to burn fat. I mean, you never see them doing 500-pound squats when they're training for competition, pre-contest, because no one can do 5 sets of 500-pound squats, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Breaks. It's just ridiculous. You don't see that kind of poundage being moved for a few reps for a couple of sets of absolute high intensity. And the main reason for that was to build muscle. And I can understand that you would do it. And because you're a natural, you can't recover from high volume. Instead, you're doing high intensity, which is still going to kill you, and still
Yeah.
going to burn your calories. So it makes sense to use it for an advanced level, even for prepping. So
Yeah. Yeah, because like the amount of work that my body has to do when I'm moving those amounts of weight, you know, it's just different. It's just different. And like like the amount of muscle that I carry, so to speak, burns a lot of calories on their own, you know. So even my resting metabolic rate is higher than for some people when they are working out, you know. So
absolutely.
it's just finding and figuring out what suits you best and how you can do it the best way. And I think like the high volume training that I did before, it also helped me develop a lot of the quality muscle that I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like even when I'm not that low in body fat, like I'm around 10% now, you can see that the quality of the muscle is different than for, I would say, for other people, you know. And I think that the high volume training did a lot of that stuff, you know.
Absolutely.
That the high volume training, taking the sets to failure, always pushing, it just gives you a different kind of look, you know. And like now I'm switching more into HIT style training. And I'm probably gonna find the best of both worlds when I'm back in the bulking phase, you know. But yeah, for now that just works out very, very well. Yeah.
What about your diet? So you mentioned that before you were just kind of dirty bulking, eating whatever you kind of felt like it, and just not
Yeah.
really focused on your macronutrients like you are now. What would you say your diet's like now, and is there any major changes that you think you did over the over your progression over the decade that have really made a difference in your bodybuilding goals with your nutrition?
Yeah, I remember like I said in the 2017 bulk that I did with the bulking phase, I think I gained like maybe 15, 16 kilos. And I ate up to 7,000 calories every day. And I ate like six out of those 7,000 calories I would eat clean, so to speak, just rice, chicken, maybe some beef, some vegetables. So I was basically eating all day. And that was really tough. Like I would eat without being hungry at all. I would just stuff in the food. I couldn't go anywhere without food because I always had to bring something to eat, you know. And I remember like people were hanging out at the canal here, and they were just like, I was like, yeah, I'm coming, but I have to cook first, you know. And I was cooking my stuff, going there, and everybody was gone already, you know. So yeah, those were intense times, man. I switched that up a little. I don't like to get that heavy anymore. I was like at around 107 kilos back then, at somewhere around 15, 16% body fat. And I found that like my sweet spot is at around like 102, maybe 103 kilos. Like that's where I actually like to sit, where I can sit comfortably. You know, I like when I'm in the off season, I don't track anything. You know, I just kind of feel like what I need to eat. You know, I always get my protein in, but then I also get some fat. I get a lot of fat actually, because I know that people today tend to go down the low fat route more, but I like to keep things a little bit loose. You know, I like to keep things mediocre or intermediate, so to speak. You know, like medium fat, still pretty high carbs, and that's for me that's the way to go. You know, so I don't like these low fat diets. You know, but I still, what's very important for me is to keep my food as good as possible, also in the off season. You know, I might eat like a chocolate bar from time to time, maybe have some sweets, but I actually like to keep it clean for the most of the time.
Yeah.
If we want to call it clean, like whole foods, you know, that's like important for me. So the good, least, what do you call it? Like, as raw as possible, I would say, you know, so beef, chicken, rice, like pasta is probably the most worked on thing that I would that I would eat, so to speak, you know.
Yeah,
So
whole
yeah,
food. Whole food is
yeah,
unprocessed. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Unprocessed. That was
the
the
word.
word that I was missing.
It's hard in Germany, man. It's hard in
Yeah.
Germany. I'm in Switzerland next door, so I know. You know, the Germanic culture has so much bread in their culture.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I'm
Especially,
still like I'm eating some bread, you know. It's not like I'm cutting bread out completely. I'm eating bread, you know. Um, but I try to keep it limited, you know. Like in the morning, I would eat some eggs with some toast, you know, some whole grain bread, so to
yeah.
speak. And that's kind of like my go-to breakfast for like a few years now.
Mm.
And I feel like that gives me a lot of energy for the day. And that's for me, that's the best way to start the day, you know.
Yeah, man. Eggs.
Yeah,
Best. I
absolutely.
always do eggs on breakfast. Um, so now just to your motivations, like what would you say initially got you into bodybuilding? Was it like a favorite bodybuilder? Was it an icon, or was it something that just you wanted to do? Like, how did that work out?
Um, I was bullied as a kid, like real bad, because I was always like a very empathetic kind of guy, you know. I don't like bullies. I'd never liked them. And I would speak up, you know. I would speak up against them. I would stand up and tell them like, hey, stop the bullying, you know. I don't like that. And I had my best friend, and he was like this typical um victim of bullies, you know. As a kid, he was this typical bully victim, so they would pick on him all the time, all the time. And at some point, I wouldn't take it anymore. So I would stand in front of him, and I tell those guys like, stop doing this, you know, because this is not right. from that from that moment in time, I would be bullied too,
Yeah, of
because
course.
like children are ruthless, man.
Yeah.
Children are really ruthless, and they would like really bully me very hard, you know. And like when these children make up their minds and they like gather together, you know, and then like the group thing starts going, and that's like real bad. So I always was this really skinny guy, and I felt like, okay, I got to do something about it. I got to, you know, work out. And then I had this friend. He would go to a gym, and he was like, always show me his biceps, you know, like, yeah, I got some good arms. And we would like do arm wrestling. And although he was training, I would always win the arm wrestling, you know. And then he was like, yeah, maybe let's go to the gym together, you know. So I was like, yeah, why not try it? You know, I would like to do that. I mean, I looked at some of those action figures and some of those action. I would watch those action movies with Arnold and stuff, you know, and for sure I would like it. You know, who doesn't? You know, I would like to watch Dragon Ball Z when I was a little kid. You know, I would always love those muscular physiques. So I would go to the gym with him, and get this 3-month trial gym membership,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. And I think it was like, how old was I? I think it was like 14 or 15 or something. Um, and I wasn't able to pay it. Gym membership back in there was really expensive. Like for my um
Budget.
uh, yeah, it was really expensive. So my parents would pay for it.
Mhm.
But after those 3 months, I would have to stop, you know, because my parents wouldn't be able to pay it anymore. So I would have to stop, you know. I just had to stop, and but I actually liked it. I actually liked it. So I got back to it, you know. I think maybe like half a year later, and I would get a different gym membership, which was a little bit cheaper, and I had some more friends doing it, you know, because I changed my like the friends that I had back in the day. I would like switch them up a little bit, you know. And yeah, that was how I got into training, actually,
All
you
right.
know, because I was bullied, you know. And I think that maybe also helped me with developing that kind of mindset. And like my best friend now, back in the day, back when I didn't know him, I was already like in the gym working out a little bit, and he was always this very muscular kid. Like, I'm telling you, genetically, this guy is the most blessed guy I ever knew. Um, and we actually stood on stage back in 2018 together, which was
Haha.
like a really cool thing, because he wanted to compete for the first time, and he asked me like, hey man, I want to compete. Do you want to get on stage with me? And I was like, I just finished my last prep. Like I'm like 6 months away from my last competition, but yeah, why not? You know, maybe this is the only chance that I will get to stand on stage next to you. You know, so I started prepping again, and we eventually stood on stage together, which was really cool because he actually was the reason that I actually started training.
Sweet.
Hard, you know, because I looked at him and he would like have like real good arms, you know, like very athletic, muscular upper body, you know, and I would see him at the pool, you know, and I was like, damn, man, who's this guy? He looks real good, you know, and he was like maybe 1 or 2 years older than I was, and I didn't know him back in the day. I would just see him at the local pool, you know, and I was like, damn, man, this kid looks jacked up, man. I want to look like that. So I would go back to training, and then I saw him at the gym sometimes. I didn't talk to him. I would just see him, and I was like, damn, man, I want to look like that, you know? So I started training harder. Yeah. So yeah, it was really cool. And now he's my best friend, actually, which is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, bullying's a common reason. I agree. That's the reason I got into martial arts initially, as I said.
Yeah.
Bullying. Well, bullying and other things too. Who would you say is your biggest, or who are you, who's your favorite bodybuilder?
My favorite bodybuilder. I like Samir Benoot a lot because I think he, like, for how I see it, he actually had a perfect physique. I think there were no weaknesses, no weak spots, especially for that era back in the day. Like crazy arm development, crazy back. You know, he had a chest, he had legs, his posing was on point, just everything perfect. Like that's like the kind of physique that I would like to have one day. You know, going into that kind of direction. And I actually talked to Samir sometimes.
Nice.
And it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah, he texted me on Instagram and told me like, bro, you're looking really good, man. Keep going and stuff. So that was really encouraging. And I also really like Francis Benfato. I really like his body, man. Amazing physique, just amazing. So Lila Brada is another one of my favorites for sure. And like for sure from the golden era, like Arnold, no doubt about that. I also like Bill Pearl a lot, you know. Yeah, I think those are like my favorite physiques right now. Yeah,
they're all beautiful, all wonderful physiques.
Yeah.
The last question, man, what are your goals and what do you see yourself in the future, like your aspirations? Yeah, stuff like
yeah. What I want to do is I definitely want to get that Metro Pro card. That's like what I'm shooting for right now with this prep, you know, because I'm 12 weeks out right now. And I want to get that natural pro card, but I also want to compete in an NPC Classic Physique show. Wow. And just see what I can do. Yeah, just see what I can do. And we'll see how that goes. Because like another like German mate of mine, like Urs, you probably have seen him, right? Urs Kaliczynski.
No, I can't say I have. Sorry.
Do you know him? He competed in Mexico this weekend. He actually took second after Mike Sommerfeld, and he started as a natural athlete too. Then did the Dennis James Classic Physique, and the same year, I think it was 2018, and then he transitioned into using gear and really had a great impact, man. Like the next season he immediately turned pro, and yeah, like I would like to try to do that, but do that natural if it's possible. But I don't know. You never know who's coming, you know. You never know who's gonna be there at that show. But I know that I don't have to hide, you know. I don't have to hide myself behind those other athletes, you know, that are maybe using some stuff, because I've been standing to a lot of them, and I think that with posing I can do a lot of damage. Even though I might not have the amount of muscle they have, but I can do a lot of damage, because I'm a tall guy.
That helps,
and I think posing helps a lot. Yeah, but you never know. maybe it will turn out a disaster. Maybe it will turn out good, you know, who knows? But the thing is this, I don't have anything to lose, you know, going into those competitions, you know. I just want to try my best, you know, see what I can do. And if it works out nice, that's it, man.
Well,
like, you never know.
yeah, man, no regrets.
Exactly.
Out,
and no holding back.
That's
no
it.
holding back.
Well done.
Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah, good luck with you. Which competition are you going up in 12 weeks?
German nationals, the natural bodybuilding nationals. Yeah. And I want to win those, hopefully.
Where is it?
It's in Bad Falling-Bostel. It's like a really small town. It's like a little village, so to speak. Like, and it's between it's between Hanover and Hamburg.
Ah, no.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, man. If it was Munich, I would have made the trip.
Yeah. I think it would actually have been somewhere in Bavaria, I guess, usually, or somewhere like in the south of Germany. Yeah. But they just switched it recently to a different location. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm often in Germany. We got to meet up sometime.
Yeah, we should, man. We should.
Yes,
definitely.
My family is in Bavaria and Baden-Württemberg, so around there.
Oh, nice.
So I got
maybe.
Go on.
Maybe one day we can make that happen, man. That would be cool.
So I've got family.
We appreciate that.
In Stuttgart, so Reutlingen, around there. I've got family.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy because my sister actually lived there until like 1 month ago.
All right.
Like she lived in Kirchheim.
Okay. Yeah.
That's pretty close, right? Yeah.
And I also got family near Wertheim, which is near Würzburg. So
yeah.
All around there.
Yeah.
So,
crazy.
Yeah. It's a small world, man.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's crazy.
I'll to have you the rest of your day in peace without me. So
yeah, I still have to get some steps in. I gotta move, you know, gotta burn some calories because I kind of caught a cold a few days ago and I'm still not fully recovered. So I at least have to move a little bit, get outside, get into the fresh air, you know, breathe some oxygen.
The oxygen is the best thing, man.
Absolutely. Very underrated.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people stay indoors when they have a cold, which is a bad idea. You need to oxygenate your system. When you oxygenate it, you'll recover, and your immune system will kick in faster. So plenty of sunlight, vitamin D.
Yeah.
Get out there and you'll recover faster.
Exactly. Absolutely, man. Fully agree.
All right, man. Agree. You have a good day.
Perfect.
Thanks so much for
you too, man.
Time, bro.
Yeah, you're very welcome, and thanks for having me. Was a real pleasure.
No problem. Good luck again in the German nationals.
Thank you, man.
I'll be rooting for you.
Thank you, man.
All right, man.
Great, man. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Ciao. Have a good night, man. Bye.
Ciao. So I do hope you have enjoyed this video with Justin Waning of the Prometheus Project. If you have enjoyed the video, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and leave me your comments. In part 2 of this video interview, Justin and I discuss the birth of classic physique and the future of classic physique as well, and that's coming up soon. Anyway, that's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, I mean, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs
of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles. But how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises. And believe me, it's a brilliant, brilliant program. Many people have used it. I know personally a lot of bodybuilders that have actually used it and made fantastic results with it. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these three books, as I call it, the Classic Physique Bundle, Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldenerabookworm.com. Now, the Pro Series of Bodybuilding, which was targeted for professional bodybuilders, contains 6 programs, each of which go for 2 months each. So it's a whole year, again, in preparation for competition. Need a bodybuilding poster for your gym or office? Then check out Ironman Magazine archive.smugmug.com for the highest quality posters on the planet. Scroll through the galleries of all the legends, including greats such as Arnold, Frank Zane, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubret, Tom Platz, and Larry Scott, and much, much more, and select your poster now. To support your favorite YouTube channel, please visit teespring.com/stores/goldenerabookworm for merchandise, including t-shirts, hoodies, face masks, phone cases, and much, much more. Once again, at teespring.com/stores/goldenerabookworm. Become a patron at www.patreon.com/goldenerabookworm for hard to find books, scans of rare photos, and articles on the golden era of bodybuilding.
To take full advantage of my collaborations, use code GEB20 with nspnutrition.com and vincegironda.com, as well as code bookworm12 at osl.com for a discount at checkout.